Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I have made a list of the top 10 reasons why I think living in a motorhome is better than living in a place like a mobile home park or an apartment or a condo or just having your own freestanding home. And we in the RV community call those types of buildings, homes, S&Bs, sticks and bricks. And these are in no particular order, but my number one reason why I think living in a motorhome is better than living in a sticks and bricks home is the mobility. If you don't like your neighbors, it's easy to move. For any reason you don't like where you are, if you move into a place and soon you find it's not what you thought it would be, it's easy to get up and move. You can always move pretty easily to wherever you want to go, and so you're not committed to being stuck in one place for any period of time. Number two is that with a motorhome, most of the time you don't have to pay rent. The only time you have to pay rent is when you're staying in an RV park or maybe a campground. And I probably pay rent in RV parks or campgrounds, I don't know, over a year's time, maybe 25% of the time. So about 3/4 of the time, I'm parked into a place, staying overnight, where I do not have to pay rent. And there are several websites that list all the places where you can stay overnight, where it's free parking or free camping. They're easy to find. Number three, and this is a small item I admit, it's water heating. Most people, when you live in a regular house, you turn your water heater on when you move in and you never ever turn it off. Well, that's something you don't really want to do in a motorhome. You don't need to have it hot water all the time. You can if you want, and some people do, but you really don't have to. And the only thing that I need hot water for is showering and washing dishes. That's it. And my dishwasher, I have an electric dishwasher, and you don't even need to use the water heater for that. It has its own water heater. You feed cold water into it, you feed warm water into it, it's going to heat that water up to the temperature that it needs. So the only thing I really use hot water for from my hot water heater is for showering. Now my water heater has two different heaters in it. It has an electric water heater and it has a gas water heater device. There's only one water heater, but it has these two different heating systems. So whenever you're plugged into outside electricity, especially in a park where you're paying a fee for the day for an all-you-can-eat buffet of electricity, you want to use your electric water heater. But when you're not plugged in, you want to use your gas water heater. In fact, you kind of have to use your gas water heater unless you're running your generator. But the nice thing about the water heater for showering is that you only need to turn the water heater on for about 10 to 20 minutes to warm up the water, and then you turn it off just as you go into the shower. Now that big difference depends on how cold the water is to begin with. So in the summer, it can only take less than 10 minutes to heat up the water enough to where I've got probably more hot water than I need. Now in the winter, when it's really cold out, if your water is 40 some degrees or whatever, it could take 15-20 minutes or so to really heat that water up enough. But you only have to do it just before you're showering, and then, like I said, you turn it off when you go in, and I don't turn it back on until a day or two later when I'm going to take another shower. Number four, with a motorhome, you don't pay property taxes. A lot of people pay huge amounts of property tax. I used to live in a mobile home where my property tax was about $500 a year in California, and then a larger property I had the property tax was about $4,000 a year. With the motorhome, there is no property tax. You do have to renew your license plate every year with the DMV, but that's only maybe $300, $200, $100, depending on the state, or even less. That varies a lot by state, but it's nothing like paying property taxes. And number 4, if you're still working, or if you're doing charity work, or whatever kind of activities you're doing on a day-to-day basis, you can always find a place to live close to where you're working. And if you're working here and then you get another job across town, you move your RV across town to an RV park near where you're going to work. But if you're living in a sticks and bricks, it's a lot of trouble and or expensive to move across town. If you're living in apartments, it's not so bad, but if you own a home or renting a big home, man, you would have to, I guess, sell your home here and buy another home across town. Nobody wants to do that. So the nice thing about living in a motorhome is that you can move your home close to wherever you need to work or do business or whatever kind of pleasure activities you might have. Number 6, if you have solar panels, you can have solar panels on a motorhome as well as solar panels on a sticks and bricks home. The difference is, in a motorhome, the electricity generated by the solar panels goes into a bank of batteries. But solar panel systems on sticks and bricks homes, they don't have batteries. What solar power generates, you use the power as it's being generated, and excess power goes into the power lines to back up to the power grid system, and they do pay you for the power that you're generating that they're using. However, guess what? They're only going to pay you a fraction for the electricity they're buying from you versus the electricity you're buying from them. So that really is not a big thing, I don't see. So ideally, whatever electricity you're generating and not using at the time, you want to save in a battery bank, and all motorhomes are that way. Number 7, change of scenery. Is just retired, and I decided that where I go to retire, I don't want to walk out my front door and see the same scenery every single day for the rest of my life. So I decided to get a motorhome and travel around the country, and sometimes every day I'm waking up to different scenery. Or if I stay into a park for a week, I get tired of the scenery, take off, I move to some other place that has a little change of scenery. Variety is the spice of life, they say. And number 8, when the weather changes, or the weather doesn't change. If you're living in a sticks and bricks house and you're having a heat spell, or in the winter you're having a cold spell, you're getting snow, sleet, whatever, you're stuck there. You've got to wait it out until these storms are over or the seasons change. But with the motorhome, assuming you have the flexibility to move around and you're not stuck because you're working somewhere, then in the summer when it's hot, you can go up to the northern states or Canada, or even better, just simply go up into the mountains, whatever the closest mountain to you. Like, I spent a lot of time in Texas, and the closest place to go up into the New Mexico mountains. Nice and cool in the summer. So if you don't like the weather where you are, you can easily move to another location that has more pleasant weather. And if you're in Florida in the hurricane season and there's any sign of a hurricane coming, you don't have to wait and see what's going to happen with that hurricane. You can just get the heck out of there, go up to Georgia or further inland and get away from those hurricanes. You live in a sticks and bricks house, sorry, you may be losing it. Number 9, when you go on vacation, if you're flying someplace or driving, you're going to lose the pleasures and conveniences that you're accustomed to at home. Now, some say that's good, you just need a change, but you're not going to be able to have for the day-to-day things that you're accustomed to in some ways. You'll be staying in motels, hotels, or maybe even tent camping. But when you're in a motorhome, you want to go on a vacation, assuming you're not on a constant vacation, then you take your home with you. And you take your comforts of home wherever you go. So you don't have to lose what you're accustomed to go on a vacation. And number 10 is independence. With my motorhome, as long as I have enough diesel fuel and propane and water, I don't need anything else. I can survive and have all the pleasures of home, totally temperature control wherever I go. I don't need to make sure my utility bill gets paid every month and fuss with them about how much the utilities are. I don't have a landlord to answer to. Don't have to pay rent, except occasionally when I might stay at an RV park. Don't have a mortgage, although some people buy motorhomes that they get mortgages for. But you can design your lifestyle so that you can be as independent as possible. Get away from anything that you might owe someone or have some obligation in order to live where you are and stay there. You have the total independence to go where you want, to do whatever you want, and don't have to depend on other people to do things for you or to supply things for you, with some exceptions. I mean, you have to, stop and get gas. You have to refill your propane tank and your water, but that's about it. Everything else is you're completely self-sustaining. So those are my top 10 reasons why I think living in a motorhome is better than living in a sticks and bricks house. I'm also doing a follow-up video with the top 10 disadvantages of living in a motorhome as opposed to one of those sticks and bricks types home. So look for that video coming up right next. Hope this has helped you in some way. Good day, folks.